you worked with Henry Kissinger. You taught with him at Harvard, and then you worked in the Johnson administration. You were the staff director for the Pentagon Papers writing. And then when Nixon won, Kissinger convinced you to stay in Washington rather than going back to Harvard, to go from the Democrat Johnson to the Republican Nixon and work in the White House, where eventually you would have a falling out with the administration and end up as number 7 on Nixon's famous enemies list. So talk about your relationship with Henry Kissinger and your falling out that caused you to leave.
Well, first of all, I need to know that I was a Republican. I had been the chairman of students for Eisenhower when Eisenhower ran for re-election for president in 1954. I considered myself a moderate. I was more interested in bringing the Republican Party to the center than fighting the Democratic Party moving to the left. And I stayed as long as I could in the party. Kissinger and I were taught together at Harvard. We were friends. We had dinner together. He talked to me about his disillusionments with the Kennedy administration, to which he was a consultant in its beginning days. And then, as he writes in his memoirs, I was the first person that he asked to join him. And he asked me to join without any discussion, as he confirms in his memoir, and I will confirm in mine. Zero discussion about what my role would be and what I would do. He just asked me if I would come to work for him. I said yes. We worked together during the transition period and then for the first 9 months of the administration. Eventually, we had a falling out first on whether I was suspected of leaking information to the press, but then also on what my role would be, and finally over Vietnam. And I eventually resigned because of my opposition to the invasion of Cambodia.
So in addition to being on the enemies list, they also wiretapped our home phone for 21 months.
Yes, they did. And they talked about it. There's tapes of Nixon and Kissinger talking separately on the Nixon wiretap of our phone. Nixon famously saying nothing but gossip and bullshit.
Our case, people say the wheels of justice grind slowly. The case we brought against Nixon and Kissinger, other officials, the FBI, et cetera. How many years did that federal litigation go on?
Oh, I think more than 20.
21 years.
Went back and forth.
Kind of incredible.
We got to the Supreme Court once, up to the Court of Appeals 3 or 4 times, and then in the district court, the whole 21 months.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine that a wiretap of 21 months on a private family could be in the federal courts for 21 years. It's kind of incredible.